Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps Law Firm for Seniors and Disabled Persons. I'd like to welcome you to our YouTube Live feature today on Thursday, February 6th. Good to have you here. My name's Eric, attorney for 46 years, the founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled persons who owe debt they can't afford to pay. And we educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. And let me get this phone turned off real quick here. There we go. So if you have questions, you can put them in the chat feature. You might notice some people on our chat talking with each other. Those are regular listeners to Helps YouTube Live, and just I can sort those out and answer your question as it comes up. But good to have you here. And I think the title today is something about deceptive debt collectors. Okay, and there are so many of them that it's just crazy. And so I'm going to start out with showing you an email or a letter that one of the other attorneys that Helps pointed out to me, and I want you to see this. Okay. Notice of court proceeding. Let me see if I can get it here. Notice the court proceeding. This is really, really not good. Okay, it's from Ohio, and I'm going to try to see if I can read it. Yeah, it looks like I can do that. Okay. So it's made to look like it's some court form, but really it's just a form from an attorney. And it says, if you do not do one of the three things within 15 days, we will go to court unless we are otherwise precluded by law from doing so, and ask your employer be ordered to withhold money from your earnings until the judgment is paid in full. Okay. Now, you can avoid the and it looks like it's a writ of garnishment, but it really isn't. Okay. Earnings, because the placing of the extra burden on your employer possibly could cause you to lose your job. Well, there's a law in Ohio that says you cannot lose your job because of a garnishment. I've been an attorney now, 46 years, 30,000 bankruptcies, at least maybe 40. People don't lose their jobs because they're garnished. It just doesn't happen. But see, what this attorney is doing is trying to push the envelope. It appears that they may already have a judgment, and he's just sending this to them to look like it's a court proceeding, the way he signs it and everything. Complete the attached form, payment to avoid garnishment, and return to us with your payment, if any, showing due on it. And then it has some other stuff on it. But this is a perfect example of how, what some debt collect. This is probably beyond borderline. We're going to consider contacting the Ohio Bar Association about this, because it's really deceptive. It's really deceptive. So if you're a senior and you got something like this, and you didn't know that your income was protected and your rights, and you say, oh, if I get garnished, I could lose my job, you might be tempted to call this attorney and make arrangements to make payments when you really don't need to do that. Okay? There's all kinds of tactics these creditors use on this stuff. I'll give you another example. Before today, earlier this morning, I looked at a note from one of our paralegals that talked to a guy. Where's he from? Tennessee or something like that. In fact, I told the paralegal, I said, get him back on the line. I want to talk to him, because apparently he had purchased a furnace 4 years ago. He had a fair amount of debt, and he owed money on this furnace. And he called the furnace company, told him he couldn't pay the furnace bill anymore. They said, well, we'll come and repossess the furnace. Well, they're not going to repossess the furnace. You know, you could theoretically, you could establish a way that they could theoretically do that by suing and get rid of execution. It will never happen. I've never seen anything like that happen in 46 years. And I wanted to call him, tell him that, the practical matter, no, if you stop paying the furnace, they don't have a mortgage. They may have what's called a purchase money security interest, but if they're not going to come, a 4-year-old furnace is worthless. They're not going to do anything about it. And they just can't go into his house to repossess that furnace. They have to go through so many legal steps that it would cost way more money for them than what that furnace would ever be close to being worth as a used furnace. So they simply won't do it. Another example of how debt collectors threaten people, and when they don't have the right, or the law is behind them to do that kind of thing. So if you got a question, put them in the chat feature. I'll do my best to answer them. I usually can. So Emmy asks, Eric, I received an email a while ago from a creditor who was already informed by Helps and me via phone. Should I reply? No. Okay. I talked to someone yesterday, and they said, well, I'm still getting contacts. Well, I looked at the file, and we just sent the letter on like January 23rd, and yesterday was, February 4th or 5th, whatever it was. And I said, they may not have even got the letter and processed it yet. Okay. When people enroll in Helps, they give us the creditors or the collectors they owe money to. And our goal is within 24 to 48 hours to send out what's called a cease and desist letter. See, under federal law, if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors can't have to leave you alone. They have to communicate with the attorney. And that's what Helps does. We represent seniors and disabled persons who owe debt. If someone were to sue you and get a judgment, no, they can't take that money. In fact, twice the amount of your federal benefits, such as Social Security deposit in your bank account, is automatically protected from garnishment by your bank under federal banking rules in effect since 2012. So if you got $1,500 in Social Security, $3,000 in your bank account is protected automatically. I have not personally met a bank manager yet that understands that rule, but the department in your bank or credit union that deals with garnishments, they do understand that rule. And I would still say that 999 out of 1,000 attorneys don't understand that rule. Okay, even though it's been in effect now for 12 years. Okay, so no one can take your money. It's safe. It's available for your needs, your food, your medicine. But it doesn't keep a creditor from calling you or trying to harass you and collect the money or even suing you. And so what Helps does is, the vast majority of seniors have no need to file bankruptcy because creditors can't do anything to them. They're judgment proof. So what Helps does is we use this federal law called a Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It provides if you're represented by an attorney, collectors have to communicate with the attorney, not you. And so when you give us the collectors you owe money to or creditors, we send a cease and desist letter out, and they're going to leave you alone. They're not going to bother you anymore. And so that's what we do. So yeah, if you're a Helps client, they may not have gotten the letter in time. Now, the federal law, this Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which was passed in 1978, the year I graduated from law school, became an attorney, that law applies to original creditors. Okay, it applies to debt collectors, not original creditors. Now, there's 7 states that take the law and expand it to original creditors, but by and large, if it's a credit card that you owe and we send a cease and desist letter out, even if it's an original creditor, they're going to stop bothering you. Okay, so yeah, when we send these letters out, the creditors are going to leave you alone. You're going to get peace back into your life. You're not going to need to worry. So no, you don't need to call this person back. And if they were ever to call you, Emmy, you would say, I'm represented by Helps, here's their phone number, and you hang up the phone. You don't need to communicate with them. Okay? And I'd say that to anyone, really. You don't need to talk to these people if you don't want to. So Mrs. H says, when a client of Helps lives in a state with unlimited homestead, I'm not sure what that means. Can you explain that part? Sure. So what a homestead is states have laws that protect a certain amount of equity in a home from execution or being taken, but it's more applicable for bankruptcy than anything else. It it's I'll give you an example. A lot of states may have an exemption. I think my state that I lived raised the exemption from 40,000 to 150,000, effective January 1st. Okay, that means if you have a home that's worth 200,000 and you owed 50,000 on it, you have 150,000 equity. 150,000 is the homestead exemption. That amount is protected from a creditor. They can't take any steps to take your home. Okay, some states have unlimited homestead exemptions. Example would be Texas. Has to be under so many acres. I remember years ago, John Connolly was the governor of Texas. He was the guy that was in the motorcade with Kennedy when he was shot. And John Connolly, as governor, after he was left as governor, had to file bankruptcy. And they showed a picture of his home, and he had a palatial home on a couple acres, and he was able to keep it in bankruptcy. It was free and clear. And that made an impression on me even before I was an attorney. Yeah, you could file bankruptcy and keep that big home. So there's other states that have pretty much unlimited homestead exemptions. Florida does pretty much, and there's other states as well, but other states have higher exemptions. But even if you have a state that has a little teeny exemption, maybe Virginia, for example, it is simply not the practice of consumer judgment creditors. If a credit card company were to sue you and get a judgment, they don't go after your home if you have equity over and above your homestead exemption. They don't do it for a number of reasons. It could be stopped for one thing. There's ways that it can be stopped. They just don't do it, so you don't need to worry about that. So, so if you live in a state with unlimited homestead exemption, it's protected. Now, a judgment can become a lien, but in a lot of these states, there's a procedure to have that lien removed if you go to sell the home. Okay? Some states, the only way you can get the lien removed is by filing a bankruptcy. But in other states, there's a state provision to be able to do that. Okay? No exaggeration about being threatened by scammers. Very unsettling to say the least. That's right. Okay. Let's go back to what we got for today. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about wage protection. That first picture I showed you of that attempt by this attorney to threaten someone that their wages were going to be garnished. Okay. States, a lot of seniors don't have wages. They're not worried about it. Your Social Security is protected. Your pension is protected. Disability is protected. But what if you have a job? Is that money protected? Well, there's a federal law, and I talk about this a lot, but I'll just briefly explain it again, that applies to all 50 states. It says $217.50 net per week in wages is protected automatically from garnishment, and that works out to be $435 every 2 weeks, or about $950 every month. It depends on how often you're paid. It's protected from garnishment. But a lot of states protect a lot more than that. Okay. And some states don't even allow garnishment. Texas doesn't even allow garnishment. South Carolina and other states have technical requirements, or they raise the amount of money that's protected from wages. We just don't see a problem with helps clients that are working having their wages garnished. It's very rare. If someone were to try to garnish your wages, first they'd have to sue you and get a judgment. Then they'd have to know where you work, and then if they filed a writ of garnishment, it depends on how much you make. But we just don't run into that as a problem. Let's say you're self-employed. I talk to people sometimes that maybe do house cleaning and they work for different people. It'd be impossible to garnish that person. Or if you do Uber or Lyft, or the gig economy, deliver groceries or deliver, deliver something for someone, no, they're not going to be able to take it. Or if you had a little side business, or if your little business was a corporation, LLC, that you ran, a corporation is a separate legal entity. A judgment against you would not allow them to garnish your money in a corporate bank account. So there's a lot of reasons why you don't need to fear a garnishment of wages or income otherwise. But, of course, you can always call and talk to us if you're worried about this kind of stuff. Helps. We don't give legal advice, we give legal information. We represent seniors under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act as their attorney in order to stop debt collectors from harassing them. When people find out about helps and they call us and we talk to them and find out their situation, and if they decide to enroll, they can enroll over the phone. They can do it immediately. The cost is minimal. 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7 of our clients get our help for free. We don't turn anyone away that needs our help. And then you give us the creditors you owe money to. We send a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave you alone. So, yeah, if you got questions, you can call us. You can also look at our videos, look at our web page. As far as I know, we're really the only law firm in the nation that provides this service, and we provide it for all 50 states. So this person contacted us from Oregon. I'm 76 years old and with substantial credit card debt. I receive Social Security and have some retirement income. Okay, first off, your Social Security is protected, so is your retirement income. I'm struggling to make my monthly credit card payments. This only gets harder as the cost of daily living rises. Can you tell me what can happen if I just stop making these payments? Well, okay, if you stop making the payments, the creditor's going to eventually, sooner than later, going to start calling you on the phone. They're going to send you demand letters. They might turn it over to collection. They possibly could sue you. But your Social Security is protected, so is your pension. Twice the amount of your federal benefit, your Social Security deposit in your bank account, is protected by your bank from garnishment regardless of what funds are in there. So, in summary, you're not going to need to worry. Okay? Now, I can tell this to seniors that they don't need to worry, but, they still worry, and that's where help gets involved. When help gets involved, you give us the creditors you owe money to, we send them a letter, and then under the federal law, they can't call you or send you demand letters anymore. Now, they could sue you. If they sue you, you get the information to helps. We're going to send a letter to the attorney who sued you. We're going to let them know that your income is protected. We understand they're going to get a judgment. Remind them about the protected nature of your bank account. It doesn't matter anyway because your bank's going to protect your bank account. And then we call you on the phone, explain why you don't need to worry. We send you an email with links to videos and articles that explains why you don't need to go to court and why your income's protected and why you don't need to worry about a judgment. And so but when helps represents clients, it's not just one time. It's literally forever. You're our client ongoing. Why is that? Well, creditors sometimes, they'll sell the debt to another debt collector, and you might get a new debt collection notice 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road. You might not get sued for 3 or 4 years. And if that happens, then you get us the new creditor or collector you're hearing from. You maybe incur a new debt for whatever reason. You get that to us. You don't need to pay it. We'll send a cease and desist letter so they leave you alone. Okay? That's what we're here for. And we'll explain why you don't need to worry. And we tell you you can call as often as you need to because we don't want our clients to worry. Okay. So here's some question. What should I do if I have a debt with Synchrony Bank? Is it smarter to just have credit with them? Well, Synchrony Bank, they back a lot of different credit cards. So, yeah, if you don't pay one credit card with Synchrony Bank, your other credit cards with Synchrony Bank are going to be cut off. But if you can't pay, yeah, you can just stop making the payment. You bet. If your income's protected, you don't need to pay it anymore. I talked to a guy this morning. I don't know if I think I may have mentioned it, but I don't know if I said this. He has a credit union that he's had a long-term relationship with. and he wants to keep paying him. And I asked him, how much do you owe the credit union? He said $17,000, and that was more than half of his debt. And I said, you're probably paying $500 or $600 a month to them. And he said, well, I'm only paying him $50 for a couple months, and then after that it starts back up. And his income was like $1,800 a month. And I said, I really don't know how you're going to continue making that payment. You don't have to pay them if you don't want to. And I mean, that's your choice. If you have a creditor you want to keep paying, you can do that, but you don't have to. Okay? John asks, if I sell my home, that amount will be a lot more than 2 times the amount of my Social Security. Where do I put the money from the sale of my home? Well, we like to talk about those things when that happens, because you got to realize, when I talk about 2 times the amount of your Social Security being protected, I'm talking about being automatically protected. That if you had Social Security for some, let's say you got a lump sum payment from Social Security. You applied for Social Security disability, a couple of years ago. It took them that long to give it to you, and they sent you a check for $20,000 for past due Social Security, or $30,000 or $40,000. Does that mean that a creditor can take that money because it's more than twice the amount of your Social Security? The answer is no. Social Security you're going to get now each month. No, the answer is no. I mean, the bank won't automatically protect it. If someone had a judgment against you and they garnish your bank account at the right time, then yeah, the bank would hold that up. You'd have to file a challenge to garnishment or claim exemption, and the court would order that money be returned to you. So when I talk about twice the amount protected, that's what's protected by your proceeds, and they're going to be protected different reasons. It might be protected for a year or 2 years, or it might be protected as long as you have the intent to invest it into another home. But there's different places you can put the money to protect it. Maybe you're going to buy another house with it. Maybe you're going to do something, I mean, if you put it in a debit card, like Walmart has what's called a Bluebird card through American Express, 10,000 each. I mean, you can put in, and you can have it. If the debt is owed by the husband and not the wife, you can put in the wife's name. There's a whole lot of different ways to protect money that might not be otherwise protected from garnishment. Yeah, you can put it in your pocket, or you might not want to put it in your safe deposit box, because if your bank got garnished and you had a safe deposit box, your safe deposit box would be subject to that garnishment. We've talked about that before. I recently received Simple Gypsy says, I recently received a certified letter from a court receiver with property claim asking me to fill it out. These people have already levied my credit union account, credit union protecting. I'm betting you're from Texas. Tell me if that's right. Yeah, so Texas has really good protections for debtors that owe money, but yet they've got a few things that are kind of screwy. One of the things they have is they can appoint a court-appointed receiver. A few other states do that as well. And you get a letter from this receiver saying, I'm going to take everything from you, and then except if it's protected. Well, under Texas law, almost everything is protected. They've got a wild card exemption of $50,000. So some creditors that get judgments will use an appointment of a receiver to intimidate someone into thinking that they're going to lose their property, to get them to call them on the phone to make arrangements to make payments. And we deal, when a Texas client, one of our clients get that, we have a form letter we send to the receiver that explains that our client is on Social Security pension, their income's protected, their other assets are minimal, and they drop it. Once they know your rights, they give up trying to intimidate and scare you. Okay. My 90-year-old mother has a Visa with Truist. She banks with them. Can they take the payment from her account without her permission? Yeah, they might be able to. A few months ago, we learned that Truist Bank was being very aggressive, and they were starting to use same legal forms as credit unions were. So when you sign up with a credit union or get a loan from a credit union, part of the agreement says if you have a bank account with us, then we could take money from your bank account to pay this debt. Now, banks don't do that, and they haven't forever. The exception is Truist Bank. They've started doing that. So we tell people if you have an account with Truist Bank that you're not going to pay anymore, then you want to change to a different bank account. And that's easy to do. Have your Social Security get deposit to a new bank account. You just open up a new bank account, contact Social Security. If you do it by the 10th of the month, normally by the following month they will send your Social Security to the correct bank account. You would have to be behind, I think, 2 or 3 months or more before Truist Bank would decide to try to offset money from your bank account, so you have time to do that. Okay? Okay. So Tweety Bird asks, would someone get advance notice of a creditor with a judgment or some other hold on our bank account so we could remove whatever might be in our safe deposit box? No. No, you won't. It would be highly unusual if your bank got garnished for someone to really get into your Social Security, into your safe deposit box. There's 2 keys on a safe deposit box. Bank has one, you have one. And so the bank even can't get in your safe deposit box without your key. The only way they get into it is if a locksmith comes down there and drills the lock out. And so if your bank got garnished, and they would send a notice to whoever garnished your bank account, to the company, the bank, whoever, the creditor that did the garnishing, they'd say, hey, listen, we got a safe deposit box. If you want to know what's in there, you got to pay this money for this locksmith and come down and drill it out. Okay. I don't see that being done. Okay. So if it's just nothing but legal papers in there or something, I wouldn't worry about it. And most times the state law, there's a time limit where the bank that did the garnishing has to do that kind of thing to try to take what's in your safe deposit box. After so many days, and it's yours to do with what you want. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay? But I'm not so sure it'd be smart to keep a whole lot of cash in there, like I explained earlier. And you're not going to get advance notice of a garnishment. If that were the case, then everyone that I'm going to be garnished, they'd run out and take all their money out of their bank account or whatever. They don't give you advance notice. Okay. Thanks for your questions. So, this person contacts us from Texas. I need help with debt collection calls. I would like to enlist as a client and hope you can help me. Thank you so much. Well, it's a pretty simple one. That's what we do. We help people with debt collection calls. We stop them. Okay? And all you have to do is call helps. 855-435-7787. 855 helps us or helps US. Helps us. And you'll talk to us. We'll ask you some questions. We'll save the information. You might call 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times until you're satisfied that this is the answer for your situation. And then when you enroll, we enroll people over the phone. You don't have to fill out a form. We click a button, we keep you on the line, and you're going to get an email from us that says, welcome to HELPS. That confirms you're a member of HELPS immediately. Payment isn't going to begin for 30 to 60 days, depending on when you get your Social Security or your benefit or your retirement income. But you're enrolled immediately without money up front. And then if we hang up the phone, if a creditor were to call you the next minute, you tell them you're represented by HELPS, you give them our name and number. If they call us, you're in our system as being our client. Okay? And if they call us, we say, yeah, we represent you. This person, don't bother them anymore. Their income is Social Security. They can't afford to pay it. They're going to leave you alone. Okay? And then you're going to get us the creditors you owe money to or collectors, and we're going to send them out a cease and desist letter out within 24 to 48 hours or sooner. All we need is the name of the creditor or collector, the address, and the account number. We don't need the balance you owe. Okay. So this person contacted us from California. I had one Discover credit card got out of hand up to $16,000. I got two more credit cards with lower interest rates to spread out the debt. It sounds like Beyond Finance negotiated credit card interest for him, but Discover sued him, served him with a summons. He has Social Security and a pension, owns a mobile home and a car. We explain what we do. He was weighing between staying with Beyond Finance or stopping Beyond Finance and signing up with us. He seemed overwhelmed about how best to proceed. I asked him to read over the emails I sent and call with questions. He was thankful for help. So, this is what I say to someone who signed up with a debt management company or debt settlement company like Beyond Finance. If you get Social Security and a pension, disability or VA benefits, when you signed up with this company, did they tell you, by the way, Mr. Jones or Mrs. Jones, all your income is protected. No one can touch your Social Security. No one can touch your pension. No one can take it. Even if you're sued, twice the amount of your federal benefits in your bank account is protected from garnishment. Did they tell you that? You know what the answer is going to be? Except for a very rare exception, very few exceptions. No, they never told me that. They never told you the most important fact you need to know. The fact is that your income is protected. It's protected in your bank account. If you don't pay your debt, nothing they can do to you. You're judgment proof. Instead, they signed you up, often putting you into utter poverty, making a payment you simply can't afford and you don't need to make. So what does it tell you about the company that you signed up with? In many ways, they're frauds because they withhold the critical financial information that you need to make the decision on what you should do. And that's the definition of fraud. You know, fraud has a lot of definitions. One of them is when you withhold someone information that's to your benefit financially and not to the person you're supposedly helping or protecting. And that's what these debt management companies do. They don't tell seniors about their protected income. I never talk about this very much, do I? I'm just kidding. I talk about it all the time. I could go on because I talk to too many seniors all the time that are being strapped by being signed up with debt management companies. Beyond Finance, for example, like this one. And I can guarantee you this person was never told that their income was protected. But if you want to pay it, you certainly can. Don't have to. No creditor can collect from you, and we can protect you from collector harassment. Okay. So here's a note from one of our attorneys at Helps. This person has been struggling to keep up with debt. She's a member of National Debt Relief. So that's another debt management or debt settlement company. I think it's a debt settlement company. And it's paying $259 a month. And then the attorney at Helps put, nobody bothered to tell her she had protected income, of course. No, they don't. They don't do that. This person was very verbose, which is fine. We like you to ask questions. We don't mind that. Making payments on some dental work, and she wants to keep doing that. Yeah, if you have a debt that you still want to pay and you can afford to pay it, you can pay that debt. When you enroll in Helps, we don't tell you have to turn in all your debts to help. One of the things we ask is, do you have a credit card with a small balance or nothing is owed that you still want to keep? And I'll say yes or no. And they'll say, they might hesitate, yes. And I said, well, you don't need to list that credit card with us. As long as that credit card isn't backed with a bank with whom you have another debt you're not going to pay, you would keep that credit card. So you'll be able to keep that credit. Sometimes I might ask, how much do you owe on the credit card? You know, if they're going to say, well, I owe $10,000, I might say, well, you might want to think twice about whether that's the credit card you want to keep. But if it's $1,000 or some amount that you can manage, sure, you can keep that credit card. And so if you got a relationship with this dentist, you want to pay him, sure, keep paying it. Now, if you change your mind, you can always stop paying it. Okay? Oh, I'm still paying one card because I'm afraid to take on American Express. I've heard that they sue everyone and will take whatever they legally can after judgment. I can't keep. You don't need to pay it. You know, American I don't see American Express suing everyone. We deal with American Express every day of the week suing clients. They don't always sue, but if they sue, so what? They can get a judgment. Your Social Security is protected, so is your pension. They're not going to go after your assets. Okay, they're protected under state law. Even if you have assets that are over the exemption where you live, it's not the practice of judgment creditors, consumer judgment creditors like American Express to try to take. If you had a car that maybe the exemption in your state was 5,000, the car's worth 10,000, it was free and clear, you got 5,000 equity. Are they going to try to take your car? No, they're not going to do that for a gazillion different reasons. It cost them a fortune to do it. It's not like, it's different than if it's a lien holder on a car where they have the title, but not a judgment creditor. They're not going to take your car. Now, it's theoretically possible. We did have someone in a state back east, I think it could have been South Carolina, recently. One of our paralegals, or one of my attorneys, actually a credit union took a car that they had bought for like $2,000 a few months ago. And it was free and clear, and the car exemption in the state was real minimal. And I thought to myself, my gosh, they're going to lose money. The time they take that car and they sell it and pay the attorney and go through all those legal procedures, they're not going to make it money. And that's the first time I've heard this happening in years. Before that, I've only heard it happening 2 times, maybe 20 years ago. They don't go after cars like that. Okay. So, okay. Someone asked about our fees. I'll talk about that. Okay. Our fees are based on income. We have a guideline. Maybe 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7 of our clients, 1 out of 5, depends, get our fees for free. Usually those clients are making like $800 or less. Those that make more, the guideline can be $10 a month or $20 for 24 months, $10 for 24 months, or $30 for 24 months, and $15 for 24 months, or $40 for 24 months, and then $20 for 24 months, free thereafter. So why does it go down? Well, the reason it goes down is because after 24 months, there's less work involved. You still could get sued. You could still have more debts, still get collection notices. And then why after 48 months is it free? Well, we just made that decision. So we've got a lot of clients that, been with Helps. We did that a couple years ago. We used to have a payment would go down to like $5 a month. For our new clients for the last couple of years, no, they don't do that. But we make it work for people. We don't want, we need enough money to keep going, to pay our staff and the mail, phones, that kind of thing. We want it to be affordable. Remember, when you enroll in Helps, you're going to stop paying your credit cards. You don't need to pay them or this other debt. Now, we not only protect you from collector harassment, we educate you how to maintain your financial independence. That's one reason we have this YouTube live session. Talk about other things, okay, as well, okay? We might call you, we might be telling you about maybe a reverse mortgage could make sense. We might tell you about that, or we might tell you about a veteran benefit you might be entitled to. And if you're sued, we're going to explain why you don't need to worry about this lawsuit, why you don't need to go to court. If you get a court form, we're going to give you instructions on how to fill that out. We don't give legal advice. We give legal information because our clients, by and large, They're judgment proof. No one can do anything to them. Now, on those rare occasions where you would need an attorney, we're happy to refer you to an attorney. Doesn't need to be happen very often. Okay? Can a creditor check your bank account before they get a judgment against you? No. Years ago, when I was a law clerk, I used to, when I was in law school, the law firm I worked for put me in charge of what's called commercial collections. And that was, we tried to collect debt against businesses that owed our clients money. And I was like a mini attorney, and I had lots of clients. And back then, way back then, that would have been in the 70s, you could call a bank and ask a bank, will a check for $100 clear this account? And they would tell you. Now, do you think you can call a bank now and they're going to give you an answer to that question? No way on God's green earth they're going to do that. No, no one's going to call your bank to find out the balance that you have. But remember, if someone has a judgment against you and you're worried about getting garnished, as long as you keep the balance in there less than twice the amount of your federal benefit, Social Security, it's protected automatically. David Ramsey scares people about not paying Amex. Baloney. I don't care about David Ramsey. I'll tell you what about David Ramsey. I'm sure he helps people. I don't think he does much help for seniors. He doesn't talk about him. When I started Helps back in 2012, I wrote him a letter, and then I wrote a couple letters over the years to him, try to get a response. Finally, I wrote, because I thought, he should know about Helps and what we do, because there's a lot of seniors simply can't afford to pay their debt, and they're being harassed by debt collectors. I'm talking about millions of seniors. And so finally one day I sent Dave Ramsey a letter with a check for $1,000 and said, I just want 5 minutes of your time. I thought, well, maybe this will work. Well, maybe a month or later I got a letter from Dave, and with my check enclosed in it, and said, I don't have any time to talk to you, Eric. I'm sorry. I've got too many employees. I'm too busy. That was a letter. So if he doesn't want to let seniors know about their protected income, I guess that's his choice. But I'm here to let you know about it. And you can help me by sharing what Helps does with others. Click on the like button. Subscribe to our channel. The more people that subscribe to this channel, the more people that press like, the wider the word gets spread out when people search terms, when seniors search terms. A lot of seniors need to know about this stuff, and they don't know. So the one that sues is Discover sues. They pretty much made a decision they're going to sue almost everyone. I think they did that because if the word gets out they sue everyone, people might be, I'm going to pay Discover and not everyone else because I don't want to be sued. You don't need to worry about that. If you get sued by Discover, you can't collect, they can't do anything. Don't buy into their tactic. Now, you got to realize the people that we help are seniors whose income are protected. Okay? I'm 63 and have an appointment for Social Security this month. Do I have to wait until I draw my check for you to help me? No. 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 No, if you're about ready to get Social Security, you're going to get it in a few months or whatever, yeah, you can enroll in Helps. You bet. You don't just have to have Social Security. You can have other forms of retirement income too. Call us on the phone. We'll go over it with you. I'm saying that to anyone, not just you, Lori. Dr. Ed Weir's channel. I don't know anything about it. I'll write it down. Okay. I got a note in here. A guy is in love with his credit union. I think I've talked about credit unions enough today. Okay. Okay, this person from South Carolina, their age is 63, 90,000 in credit card debt. He's living on Social Security benefits while taking care of his two special needs brothers. He has lots of debt from taking care of things. Looks like that was in December, and then in January he called us. And then he's called a couple times in January. Yeah, if he's got debt he can't afford to pay, he doesn't need to pay it, he can enroll in help, so he's going to be fine. So this person contact us from Mississippi, and this is what they say. I'm drowning in credit card and medical debt, personal loans, on Social Security disability. Please help me. They are harassing me. I signed up with a company called Beyond Finance. Oh my gosh. It's the third time I've talked about them today. I found out that they are just taking my money. That's right. I'm very sick with, describes what he's sick with. And I'm supposed to show up in court for a bill that is $3,000 on March 11th in 2025. I don't have that kind of money. Can you help me? We're going to help you. You bet we're going to help you. You don't need to be paying money to Beyond Finance. Your Social Security disability is protected. No one can take it. You know, when we enroll in helps, we're going to send a letter to the attorney that sued you. Let them know that you're on Social Security, that you're not going to go to court. They can get their judgment. We're going to remind you how your income is protected in your bank account. We're going to tell you to worry about something else. You can worry about getting better. You don't need to worry about this debt. And if you ever are worried or ever have a question, you pick up the phone and you call. I don't care. We don't care how many times. You can call us every day if you need to. Okay. So this person, that was from Mississippi. This person's from Florida. This is interesting. Okay, he had a car repossessed 15 years ago. They're now trying to sue him. I'm not so sure they're trying to sue you, but let's go on. Can they do this? His last payment was made in 2009. Well, the statute of limitations for filing a lawsuit depends on the state law. 5-6 years, it could be less. No, they legally can't sue you, and they legally can't even threaten to sue you. Now, you technically owe the debt. They could call you on the phone and try to get you to pay it. But as far as filing a lawsuit, no, they can't do that. Now, part of the problem is if you did pay the debt, made a payment towards the debt, in some states that starts the statute of limitations up again, and then they could sue you. So this is the notes from our paralegal. Went over what we do, and the statute of limitations informed him the creditor has 6 years. This person apparently it was repossessed in New York, under New York to file a lawsuit. No, they're not going to. If they were to sue you, they'd open themselves up to a big lawsuit. You'd call us, we'd tell you what to do. So this person contacted us from Arkansas. I'm on Social Security disability. I'm current on all my debts, but have overextended my credit. This means I will not be able to pay my debts probably starting in March because my credit card payments will be too much and I won't have enough income to cover the payments. I'll be able to make payments in February. Don't need to, but that's what he says he's going to do. I've made purchases this month, and I think it's the right thing to do. It's your choice. I was considering Chapter 7, but can't file until May of 2025. It seems like this would be a better option. And I guess we told him, I said, well, you really don't need to make the payments for February. You can, but it's up to you. So what we did, we sent him, I don't know if he called us or we sent him some information about helps and what we do. And this guy can call us back. We're going to, if he's getting Social Security disability, that's not a lot of money. He had no need to file a bankruptcy. He probably can't afford a bankruptcy. I mean, he's judgment. Creditors can't do anything to him. I mean, if he's worried about being harassed, he can enroll in helps, and that's going to stop. We'll represent him ongoing, so he doesn't have to deal with collectors anymore. And he doesn't have to go through with the stupid bankruptcy process. So this person from California contacts us. I can't rent an apartment because something came up with my credit report, and I can't get help with it. Okay. We have a letter we call the landlord letter that we'll give to anyone, whether they're a member of HELPS or not, that explains to a prospective landlord that the senior who's giving this letter has Social Security or pension. It's protected by federal law. It can't be taken from them. Even though they may have negative interest on their credit, this money will always be available to pay rent. And sometimes we'll tell people that want this letter to show it to a prospective landlord. And then the landlord can take that letter and a lot of them don't understand that your income is protected and that can't be taken from you. And they say, oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, go ahead and turn in your application. You can pay the application fee. The other thing, too, is, for HELPS clients that want to rebuild their credit, we do have a program called 7 Steps to a 720 Credit Score. When you're part of HELPS for 90 days, we can send you an email. You can join this program to get your credit back within 1.5 to 2 years. You can rebuild your credit if you're interested in doing that. Sometimes rentals it's a function of supply and demand. If you're a landlord and you've got 5 units and you've got 15 applicants, you can be picky. But if you got 5 units and you got 2 applicants, then you don't need to be picky. You can't afford to be picky. You want to rent to whoever you can. So it depends. Okay? We'll try to help people rebuild their credit, those that are interested. No one needs to give up. No, you're going to be fine. Okay, we got time for one more here. This person's from Missouri. I'm 71 years old. I collect Social Security of $2,100 a month. I have a full-time job grossing $2,800 per month. I live with a family member and pay $1,000 towards their expenses. My credit cards are killing me. I have a car payment of $350 per month. If I quit paying all my credit cards, how much can I earn before they can garnish wages in the state of Missouri? I don't want to file bankruptcy. I'm not worried about my credit score. Credit cards at least 30% more interest. That's about it. Okay, well, we talked about garnish at the beginning of this video. You can go back and listen to that. I think Missouri is probably a federal state, which means $217.50 net, $435 every 2 weeks, $950 a month. So if someone were to sue this guy and get a judgment, and they happen to know where he works, then they could garnish his wages. How could he prevent that? Well, he could work less hours. I mean, maybe this is if he's going to work for a whole long time. Maybe bankruptcy could be possibly an answer for this person. But we'll talk to them. Okay, we'll talk to them. So yeah, if this guy had this job and he was making $2,800 in wages, and he wanted to keep working there for the next 4 or 5 years ongoing, and he was getting Social Security, maybe bankruptcy might be a better idea for him. He could afford to pay it. Okay, depends on other factors too. Okay, so it looks like we're near the end. It's 57 minutes after the hour, and it was a good discussion. Thank you for participating. If it's your first time, and you got questions, call us, 855-435-7787. Press the like button, and you can put comments, and I'll try to address them on Monday. This is Thursday. Next time we're going to be on Monday, same time. But you can always call us in the interim. We don't want you to worry. Okay? So thanks for participating. You can see more of our videos on our YouTube page for different topics. Let's see a lot of helps videos on senior living, their YouTube page. In fact, I'm going to do a video with Jeff Hoyt on senior living this afternoon at 3 o'clock my time on the top financial worries for seniors. Okay, the top and that we'll do that video, and he'll probably publish it next week sometime. So thanks for your help, thanks for your compliments, and thanks for your thanking me. Appreciate it. And call us with any questions. And God bless, and have a good weekend, everyone. Bye. No, Monday. I thought it was Tuesday. No. About 4 or 5 months ago, we changed to, I think it was that long, through Monday through Thursday. Okay? Monday through Thursday. Monday through Thursday, YouTube Live. And we may do it Monday through Friday eventually. Okay, see you next week.